Chào mừng quý vị quay trở lại với phần tiếp theo của chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh trên kênh FBNC. Và vị khách mời của trong chương trình trong phần này đó là ông Molly Bolaswa, là Phó Chủ tịch phụ trách khoa học của Tập đoàn Bảo hiểm Phi nhân thọ AIG. Thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, how are you?
I'm doing well.
You came to Vietnam this time, first time ever, to
Yes.
talk about the topic transformation strategies for faster growth.
Yes.
Could you kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Absolutely.
Give me some more details.
And to give you a little bit of context first, I want to talk about my role within AIG.
Okay.
I'm the Chief Science Officer for AIG, and it's the first role of its kind in any major company across the
I
world.
don't see the title many often.
It is brand new. 25 years ago, you had the role of a Chief Information or Technology Officer first come through in a big company. This is the first Chief Science Officer role in any major company.
Okay.
And the idea is very simply that the world around us is experiencing a data explosion.
Sure.
Think about this statistic. 90% of the data that exists in the world today was created in the last 2 years.
Wow, amazing.
Amazing.
Talk a lot about big data, right?
Absolutely. And big data is the data that's coming from our cell phones, that is location data. It's coming from online transactions that we make. It's coming from social media and a whole host of other sources. And the idea really is, how do you use this data explosion to drive competitive advantage by understanding, really from an insurance standpoint, 4 different dimensions. By being able to measure risk better for different customer groups using data, by being able to manage risk better for different customer groups, by being able to use data to understand how your intermediaries behave, and by being able to use data to make smarter, more efficient decisions on claims to fulfill the promises we've made to our customers. How do we make that promise better? How do we make that promise better? By using the power of data. That's really the core mission.
So what is your answer for those questions? How? How do you manage data?
So how you manage data is, number one, is you start with asking better questions. So as an example, if you think about people getting hurt, workers' compensation insurance, they get hurt at work, and we provide the coverage to get them healthier. The question really is, how do you understand that process of care that happens after they get hurt, using data to get them back healthier faster, get them back working faster to prevent longer-term risks of a variety of different medical issues? And how do you use data to garner insights that allows you to help them be more effective in what they need to do in their lives?
So does the CEO or company leaders or managers nowadays, do they understand and realize the need of a chief science officer roles in the company?
Not consistently. The CEO for AIG's property and casualty business, Peter Hancock, is a trailblazer in this area, in my opinion. I think many other leaders across industries, they approach this from the angle of saying, I feel like I should do something in the big data space, but I don't know what. In my opinion, it all starts with saying, what are the questions you're trying to answer? What are the problems you're trying to solve? And think of big data as a tool, as an enabler to solving that problem. And if you start with the questions, then you do not get as intimidated by whether you have the right data sources, whether you have the right kind of data scientists, whether you have the right kind of decision models and such. Start with the problem, make sure you define it properly, and then think about how internal and external data can help you answer that question. And once you've harnessed internal and external data, build the best-in-class models, data models, machine learning models, and so on and so forth, and then figure out, once you have the insight, how do you translate that insight into action? How does it translate into decision tools and platforms? How do you get people to think about their roles differently now because they now have insights that they didn't have before? That's really the mission of the science team. So it is as much about transforming, frankly, the core of what questions we ask and how we think about the business, as it is being able to do so using the power of data and analysis and insights.
So a chief science officer, should it be someone from inside, or the CEO hires someone from outside?
In this particular instance, I am new to the company. I think that the question to me isn't as much about whether it should be inside or outside. The question is whether this person challenges conventional wisdom. Does this person bring an integrated approach to this role so that it doesn't just become a pure R&D function, nor is it a pure tactical function that is doing one-off data analysis. So how can this person lead a team that'll bring a balance of short, medium, and long-term problem structuring and solution? And how will this person bring a multidisciplinary and integrated approach to driving through not just the insight, but the actual change management that ends in a better financial outcome for the company, ends in a better outcome for the customers?
That's a tough job. I mean, how do you manage the conflicts with the CEO when it's come to, because you try to challenge the conventional approach that had been existed in the company for so many years. How do you do that?
I think there's, to answer that question, I want to point out that there's a time dimension as well. So for a new team like this to be effective, the first thing it has to do is gain credibility. Gain credibility that it brings skills and knowledge and perspectives that are additive to what exists within the organization today. And the way you do that is you start with problems that all parties, our internal stakeholders can agree they need to help solve, and jointly partner with them to be able to shape and answer those problems, bringing a different toolkit than what the internal business leaders would. And as you gain that credibility, it gives you a little bit more freedom to influence their thinking in other areas. So, and it allows you to be as much of a teacher based on your own lens, your own perspectives, as it does allow you to be a student, because the business leaders have a different perspective that is also relevant. And at the end of the day, you have to find a way to blend the two. So this is as much about change management and winning hearts and minds of people as it is about insight and data.
I mean, talking about innovations, innovation is of course, very important in this competitive world, no doubt about it. But I mean, how do you get started with the innovation process? I mean, what are some of the signals to say it's time for the company to do innovation?
Excellent question. My response to that is the time to innovate is now. It's not when the company is doing well, just well. It's not just when the company is doing poorly. It's not just when the company is cruising. I think that the world around us is changing, and the rate of change is also accelerating. So therefore, I believe that the difference between companies that are successful and companies that are not is really directly related to whether companies self-examine their operating models and challenge their own boundaries and innovate. On the other hand, I want to point out that in my view, innovation isn't necessarily something that is only big and far away. It's not something that has to be intimidating. It isn't just doing different things.
It can be little by little?
It can be little by little. Innovation can be doing things differently as well. So innovation can be small, innovation can be medium. It doesn't
have to be a breakthrough invention, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So it's a paradigm shift. So it's really many, many small changes that cumulatively have a bigger impact.
So what are some of the lessons from other markets that AIG could apply in Vietnam in terms of science and research and development?
So one big lesson is, frankly, that the cultures in different countries are a little bit different, and the penetration of insurance, whether it is life insurance or health insurance or property and casualty insurance, is different in different countries. So in developing countries, especially in Asia, such as Vietnam, the penetration of insurance is lower, insurance as a percentage of GDP is lower than it is in Western countries. So we think that there is huge opportunity here to educate customers, to help them understand how insurance plays a pivotal role in their ability to take risk and be more daring as entrepreneurs and innovators. So we think that is absolutely critical. The other piece of it is really thinking through how the culture here is different and how your traditional operating models that you might have applied to other countries are relevant or not relevant in a country such as Vietnam.
Thank you so much for sharing. How important is that Chief Science Officers? Thank you.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thưa quý vị, vừa rồi là những chia sẻ của ông Merli Boleswa, là Phó Chủ tịch phụ trách khoa học của Tập đoàn Bảo hiểm Phi nhân thọ AIG. Và đến đây thì chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh cũng xin được khép lại. Một lần nữa cảm ơn quý vị và các bạn đã quan tâm theo dõi. Quý vị có thể xem lại chương trình trên trang web đồng tiền thông minh fbnc.com hoặc là facebook.com/đồng tiền thông minh. Cảm ơn quý vị đã quan tâm theo dõi. Chúng tôi sẽ gặp lại quý vị trong những chương trình kỳ sau. Thân ái chào tạm biệt.